So this is a digital collage that I've created, and it's going to serve as the base image for a mixed media encaustic painting that I think I'm going to title Rain Took Her Elemental Chickens Hester, Clara and Eva to Visit Eleanor's Garden. And in this video, I'm going to show the behind the scenes look at my process and how my work evolves. So this one began with an image that I took one hot summer evening here in Vermont on my porch, and I was waiting for my dog Jackie to make her kind of her last foray of the day before turning in, and I wanted to use this one because I was thinking of creating a painting of a woman on her porch at night. It's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially dog owners, and there's always something a little surreal and magical about stepping outside late at night. And anyway, I love the moodiness of the lighting and the leafy shadows in this image, so I uploaded the photograph into a generative artificial intelligence program, or AI, along with the prompt, a woman standing on a porch at night. And after a long thread of prompt tweaks and image generation, I found a few images that I wanted to work with. And this is the one that I selected here for my first digital collage. And it wasn't what I was starting off thinking that I would do. And that's one of the reasons that I really love working with generative AI. Through that back and forth of prompts and image generation, it often sparks new ideas and directions to evolve and develop. So I saved some of the more woman and porch images for a separate painting or painting series. And then I began developing this one as my first collage. So I love the softness, the dark foreground, and the feet. It all appealed to me. So now I'm thinking, yeah, she's going to be in a garden. And so then I generated some prompts for gardens and selected a section from this formal garden image here to use. And I cropped that and laid it on top of my initial image, and I adjusted the color, saturation, and used some photo filters and fooled with the transparency a little bit to sort of maintain that softness of the image. And I'm doing this in Adobe Photoshop, so that's the program that I use to assimilate all of these composite pieces together and build my digital collage work. So now the figure is lost here. So I outlined the figure and added her back to the foreground with this garden scene in the back. So next I really needed a hand. So I generated a few more images through prompts of a woman's hand, and I ended up finding this beautiful hand here. And I thought I would also generate some transition between the hand and the arm here with an ornamental embroidered cuff. And so I developed some prompts and generated some images for that and came up with this one that I selected. And I thought I would use this cuff here, which is just really beautiful. So I cut that out and resized it and positioned it here and adjusted the tone so that it would match with the other colors, desaturating that a little bit. So at this point I'm wondering, who is this woman and what is she doing in this garden? And I have all of this wonderful empty space here in the foreground. And so I'm thinking chickens, hens, which is where my mind tends to go, and chickens frequently find their way into my work. There's just something about them. They're beautiful shapes. So enter 3 chickens for a compositional triad of interest. And I generated chickens using the AI again, and I selected this black chicken and a beautiful yellow chicken and a red chicken. And everyone is facing forward, facing the viewer. We have this triangular composition happening here. So now again, I'm returning to the story, wondering, what's going on? Why are these chickens here? Who is this woman? I thought maybe I would add some fireflies kind of glowing in the background in the garden, and then I would have some seed here on the foreground, and possibly use some gold leaf speckled, which I love. I love gold leaf. And then, have a sort of maybe a celestial theme with some stars that have kind of fallen to the ground. So I've generated some images and ended up laying down this star foreground. And then I was thinking, okay, well maybe the chicken is the embodiment of some star chicken. So I generated some images of stars and selected some of those and laid them in on this chicken, but it really wasn't working. Also, I thought, if she is throwing seed down and stars, this passive hand by her side really isn't working. She needs to be tossing seed out. So I generated some additional images of hands, and I got this one was more like petting the chickens, and so that really wasn't what I was looking for, and so I ended up generating this wonderful hand with seeds, the palm up. It needed an arm, of course, and I ended up generating this wonderful arm, which had this beautiful red ornate flowers that are embroidered on it, and it was just gorgeous. And this is something that happens a lot with generative AI, is it'll come up with a piece that I just love so much that I need to change kind of the whole composition, or maybe even the theme of the collage, because I want to work that piece into it somehow. So I think actually I will use this arm. I didn't for this one, but I'm going to just show you where I headed next. So with the palm up, I really felt compositionally that she would need to be putting her weight on her other foot. So I needed to flip her around, which I did. And so now we have her, she's feeding the chickens seed, but it just wasn't working. So gave her her hand and her cuff back. I let go of this foreground and the stars on the chicken as well. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe some water. So I was generating images of water, and I found this really wonderful image that I laid down. And I love the concentric ripples emanating from her feet, and the chickens are kind of following the circles on their path outward as well. And I thought, okay, this is heading somewhere, I think. So now I'm returning to wondering about, again, who is this woman? Maybe she's a water spirit or a goddess, and she's bringing moisture to the garden, which is so essential. And so what does that look like? She has this wonderful dark black skirt, and I began generating images of water, thinking that maybe she'll have this an aquatic body. And so I found this wonderful image. Again, I generated another image and cut out this skirt shape, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. So I thought, maybe we'll go with this designs and water that's more abstract, but it was too busy. And so I thought, well, maybe a hazy bank of clouds, but again, it was too light for the color composition of the piece. So I generated this wonderful landscape image and cropped out this dark piece of sky and laid that on top. But still, it really wasn't working. So I generated these images of a storm with rain. I thought, yes, the color composition works. I love the raindrops, but it wasn't quite right. So I selected another section of that image and cropped this shape out of it. And I really love the light peeking through the clouds here and the rain falling. It goes with the light in the background in the garden and the darker foreground of the water. So I really love this piece. It's starting to come together, and I'm getting really excited about it. I mean, clearly now I know who this woman is. She's Rain, the embodiment of Rain. So if she's Rain, then who are these chickens? And are they her chickens? Or are they just wandering around in the garden? And if they are her chickens, maybe they're the elementals and they follow her everywhere. Or maybe they're a part of making the rain or bringing the rain where it's needed. So I started thinking about rain in the water cycle and how that happens, and heat and moisture and atmosphere and earth. And I think, okay, well, maybe one of the chickens could be clouds, and the black one could be stormy, and the red one could be fire or suns, and which is fantastic. I start getting excited, and I think the idea of a fire chicken and elemental chickens are just fabulous. And I'm making notes to delve into this idea again for another painting. So I generated next some images of prairie fires, and then I selected a section of this for the fire chicken. And so now we have this fire chicken. Then I thought, white puffy clouds for the golden chicken. And so I generated some more billowy cumulus-like clouds. And I think, oh yes, I love this image. It's not what I'm looking for, but I'm thinking now for another painting, it would be really wonderful to have, a different figure and the garden in the background up in the clouds and these chickens that are descending to earth. So stay tuned for that one. That one's definitely coming up. But I took this cloud and I resized it because I did like the cloud for this piece. And then we have this little cloud now, and then I took a little part of it to fit it into the body of this chicken. So now we have the cloud chicken, we've got the fire chicken. Next, of course, is this black chicken. I started generating more images. I love this beautiful, moody landscape. I tried up here, this was too light, so I went here, and then finally ended up with the brown earth, and selected a portion of that and really like that. So then we have this earth chicken to add the flock. But it's a little subtle, but that's okay. I'm going to, once I print this out, I'm going to be working on it with oil pastel and colored pencil and encaustic paint, and I can develop that a little further. So I'm not too worried about that. But the image itself is really coming together. And I think that this rain coming down in this circle, it looks like it's just stopped raining, or it's the end of a rain. And I really want more activity and excitement and energy happening. So I went looking for images of rain on the surface of water, and I found this photograph and laid that down. So I'm really happy with this. This is not using generative AI. This is just a photograph that is, a little transparent and cropped and laid down here, and it really gives it that energetic feeling of, an active rainstorm happening. So I really like that. So now her feet are, maybe they could be underwater. I'm thinking about how to do that, but I really would like the detail of a foot. And so I generated again some images of feet, and found one that I really, generated one that I really liked. And voila! I think that it's complete. There's only one more piece. I'm wondering if it should be more of a vegetable garden with some big red tomatoes in here that would kind of tie in the red of the hens. So I generated some images of gardens and tomatoes and found one that I'm still trying to decide whether or not it works. I do like it, but maybe it's too much. So I'm still on the fence about that one. And the next step, once I finish it up, and I'm sure I'm done, this is going to be printed out using archival ink and artist paper, and then I'll cut it out, I'll glue it to a wood panel. Once it's dried, then I'll start applying the oil pastel and working in the colored pencil and bringing some of these areas, make them pop a little more, recede, develop the earthy, earth chicken, and then I add encaustic and encaustic paint, and then once that's cooled, I start incising and carving into the surface to add some dimension and shadow and interest. That's something that doesn't translate a lot of times in the photographs, and so the video is really where I can tip the surface and you can see it from different angles, and the light catches this kind of reflective surface that's very smooth with these indentations and carved lines that have shadow. So I just, encaustic paint is really wonderful. And I'll try to capture that part of the process with video and share that as well. So that's it. Thank you so much for following along.